Coming to the pathophysiology, here the first and foremost is going to be your dynamic outflow obstruction. The blood from the left ventricle cannot enter into the aorta. Next is there is going to be mitral regurgitation. Diastolic dysfunction will be there and LA enlargement due to mitral regurgitation as well as diastolic dysfunction. Apart from that, you have myocardial ischemia and various arrhythmia. Now coming to the dynamic LVOT obstruction. This is the original classic feature of HOCM. Here there are two causes for obstruction. The first cause is your left ventricular outflow tract is narrowed due to the hypertrophic interventricular septum. Next is the anterior displacement of the mitral leaflet during systole. Normally during systole the mitral valve will be closed, but here during systole the mitral valve, anterior leaflet of the mitral valve will go and impinge on the septal wall causing obstruction. And this obstruction is usually subaortic. Here you can see low pressure and high pressure is being developed here, or it can be mid-ventricular, just below the mitral valve leaflet. This is mid-ventricular obstruction, or it can be both. It can be present at the subaortic as well as at the mid-ventricular level. These characteristics will determine the degree of obstruction, subsequent symptoms, alteration in hemodynamics, and also the incidence of arrhythmias. Three categories of obstructions are there. What are the various categories? First is a latent obstruction, which occurs in about 30% of the patient. Here there is no gradient at rest, but the gradient across the LVOT increases to greater than 30 mm of mercury with physiological provocation. Resting obstruction, which happens in 37% of the patient. Here the gradient is greater than 30 mm of mercury or greater at the rest. Next comes the most dangerous thing, which is the provocable obstruction, which happens in 33% of the patient. Here the gradient will be less than 30 mm of mercury at rest, but it increases to dangerous level after provocative maneuver. So the patient with resting and provocable gradient forms about 70% of HOCM patient. Now coming to the factors which increases the gradient across the LVOT. In other words, which increases the obstruction. There is going to be a left ventricular hypertrophy, particularly at the basal segment. More the hypertrophy, more the obstruction. It is common with hypertension and other storage disease disorders also. Next, your LV contractility. The more the LV contracts, more the obstruction happens, and tachycardia also, by causing increased contraction, can worsen the obstruction. Next comes the small left ventricular cavity. Smaller the LV, less the volume goes and more the obstruction. It is common in children, women, and when dehydration happens, when no blood comes into the left ventricle, the obstruction can increase. And another thing which increases the obstruction is the thickened mitral leaflet. Finally, anything which reduces the preload to the left ventricle increases the obstruction. Your dehydration, diuretics, vasodilators, hemodialysis, fever and septic shock. In those cases where preload is decreased, your obstruction is going to increase. In a nutshell, any maneuver which increases the force of contraction, like your exercise and positive inotropic agent, your obstruction increases. Anything that decreases the filling of the left ventricle, hypovolemia, sudden assumption of upright position from sitting, tachycardia, vasodilator, Valsalva maneuver. Another important thing which will increase your obstruction is any maneuver that decreases your afterload, like your sympathetic blockade. When no obstruction is there, you can see the freedom is around 90% from the HOCM related death. But if obstruction is there, this is reduced to around 75%. So